lot of ways, we approached Halo 3 as picking the best of the best. It's all the things we loved about Halo 1, the things that we really liked about Halo 2, and really trying to deliver the ultimate end-all, be-all Halo experience.
The main decisions behind multiplayer design in Halo 3 are really about ultimately keeping what's good about Halo and keeping that in, but also taking things that maybe didn't work out as well as we anticipated, or maybe things went in a different direction in Halo 2 and making those things better.
The beta has 3 maps available. The first one's called Snowbound. It's sort of a smallish map, I think ideally aimed for about 6 to 8 players. It's really good for free-for-all style gameplay, things like Oddball, King of the Hill, of course Slayer. Then we have High Ground. High Ground's an asymmetrical map. In a lot of ways sort of takes some cues from Zanzibar in the sense that you have a fortress with a defensive team trying to repel a bunch of offensive guys who spawn on the beach. That map is really awesomely designed for team objective games, but it's still fun for all the other game types. And the last map's Valhalla, and that's the biggest map in the beta. That map plays great with anywhere from 8 players on up. Really epic sort of classic CTF battles, lots of vehicle encounters. Sort of, I think in a lot of ways it's the quintessential Halo experience, and I like to talk about Valhalla as like the spiritual successor of the classic Blood Gulch.
In terms of the design changes for the maps for Halo 3, I think we're basically just taking the approach of, you know, what we learned from Halo 1 and 2 and just in implementing that in our maps. Like in terms of 16 players, we are going to have some maps that totally, well, hopefully they'll blow your mind. There's one thing that I can't talk about, but you guys will know about it pretty soon, and I think it's going to basically set a new benchmark for Halo 3.
You know, visually, a lot of work's still being done. We're really happy with where Halo 3 is at right now in the beta. It's got a very vibrant, unique art style. That's the way Halo has sort of always been portrayed. With single player, I think you will well see some differences. You know, the goals for both of the games are a little bit different. In multiplayer, it really has to be about visibility, about quickness, about balance. In multiplayer, we don't want to have things like blinding auto exposure when you come out that suddenly make you a vulnerable target, or areas that are so dark you can't see your opponents in. In single player, we can be a lot more moody. We can actually be a lot more dramatic, and I think you're definitely going to see some moments in single player that I've seen that are just absolutely gorgeous. It's all looking fantastic, but some single player stuff we can get away with a little bit more than we do in multiplayer.
One of the new things in Halo 3 is the idea of the support weapons, and it's basically a new class. And what happens when you pick up a support weapon is you go into third person. So you'll notice when you pick up, or when you enter a turret, you'll actually get a prompt to remove that turret and you rip it off, and then the camera stays third person but you're walking around. So another weapon in that class is the missile pod, and you'll see that on Valhalla when you play in the beta, and that is devastating against vehicles. It's a lock-on device, similar to the lock-on of the rocket launcher in Halo 2, but we've kind of broken those two things apart. So the missile pod is this really nasty support weapon, and the rocket launcher has kind of gone back to being what it was in Halo 1. You're going to be seeing 5 pieces of equipment in the beta. That's not the total number for the final game, but you're going to get a small taste of what's there. There's going to be the bubble shield, trip mine, portable grav lift, power drainer, and you know, actually I think that's all that we have access to. There might be one more in there that I'm totally spacing on right now.
I mean, we're never cease to be amazed by what people do with the game, and I think, you know, in a lot of ways that's what really made Halo 1 so successful, was just the sandbox and the variety. When people started making videos just about physics and blowing stuff up and launching warthogs over mountaintops. With Halo 3, I think we're starting to see a lot more of that. I think we have more tools at your disposal. We have more things you can do. And you know, one example that we've seen where in the office we use the portable grav lift strictly as an offensive means of getting over the wall into the base, and we had some guys from the outside come and play, and their first reaction was to carry it with them inside the base, grab the flag, and then use it to escape the base. And meanwhile, the gate was still closed, so no other defenders could even get out. You know, I would definitely say the jump pad can be used for more than just jumping over walls in an offensive manner. The guy's getting ready to run you over with a mongoose. You throw a jump pad down, it's awesome to watch that mongoose go flying over your head. By the time the guy knows what's happened, he's probably going to be dead.
Well, there's one thing that happened in the Microsoft internal beta that we hadn't even thought of, and it's just people combine equipment. So you'll see somebody actually throw down a grav lift and then drop a bubble shield on top of it, it'll actually raise up onto like an elevated platform to protect someone, for instance. Or someone will throw down a grav lift and then drive a mongoose through it and jump over the entire wall on high ground. So there's all these things. Like Halo is just this crazy sandbox that everything just works together. So you try these things and they just work. We don't even necessarily anticipate them sometimes.
Ah, yes, the man cannon. It's super hard to do, but we actually have pulled this off in real-life game scenarios where there's conveniently there's some fusion cores located right above the man cannons on the Valhalla, and if you get lucky, you can knock them off into the chute, and if it lands on top of a fully loaded Warthog, you can actually take them out. And I have done that, but unfortunately it was my own teammates, but it was still kind of fun.
I think the first thing people usually try and do, and we've noticed this when we've had press play the game, is they try and drive a vehicle through it, and of course you can. So, you know, anything that is physical and interactive, you can use with the man cannon. So, you know, you jump into it, you can actually toss grenades, and grenades will be influenced by it. They'll actually fly way out.
And even today, for the first time, somebody actually was experimenting with picking up a weapon